two about facing Peralta?
Yeah, Peralta, he's tough. He's done it for a long time, and fastball really gets on you. Slider, we've seen him a bunch, but we got Paul going, and really looking forward to the matchup tonight.
What do you hope to see from a guy like Paul, who we kind of saw him ramp up a little bit, it seemed like, the last performance?
He did. He was really efficient, got after it, was in the zone, induced a lot of soft contact, and got the punch outs as well. Velo was up a little bit, so looking forward to him continuing that tonight.
When you look at his arsenal, the sweeper seems to really be taking off this year. What kind of is the key for both the slider and that just the extra horizontal movement?
Yeah, that horizontal movement, and I've noticed it a lot to lefties too. They see that out of the hand, and he's able to bring it back. Has really gotten a good feel for that pitch. And then when you match it with that fastball velo that he has, and it ticked up a little bit last start, is really difficult.
He's coming off a game, obviously his first complete game, and didn't get the win. How do you see him manage frustration or feeling like at all he has to be too perfect because there hasn't been the run support this year?
Yeah, I think he handled that really well last outing, especially going against a lineup like that in the Phillies, and being able to keep them in check. And kudos to Abel too. He went pitch for pitch there, really throwing the ball well. But Paul manages those expectations and really has learned how to take care of what he can control, and he does it really well.
Donnie, in that game, and I know it's just one moment in a much bigger picture, but in that game you had Paul on the mound, Henry behind the plate, and Harper at bat. You have 3 number 1 overall picks, and your guys won. What was it like to kind of maybe enjoy that moment for a second, just knowing that here's a 2-time MVP and you've got 22-year-old pitcher who beat him in that moment?
Yeah, with three heaters there. And honestly, didn't even cross my mind till you said it. That's really interesting. And talk about really elite players. That Bryce has done it for a long time, and we've got Paul and Henry who are younger, establishing themselves and doing it, and Paul, superstar in the making, and just to be able to rear back and fire 3 heaters that Bryce doesn't miss too often, and it just shows you to the electricity that Paul has and the velo behind it when he rears back and lets it rip.
Do you think it's a challenge for Henry to call when you have a guy who has 7 pitches, and he could very easily just say, stick to the 4-seamer and the splinker and we could be good, but he wants to use the full arsenal and takes advantage of it?
No doubt, and the one thing that we've seen from Henry is how prepared he is and how much he follows. He's ready. He's ready for the game plan, but he also reads swings really well. He's really smart back there and understands that maybe we have a game plan going in, but he sees that somebody's late or not on something, that he'll stick with it and keep on rolling, which he did there with Bryce and the fastballs with Paul.
Donnie, is Henry earning more opportunities, and what's the challenge there of trying to make sure you get Joey at bats in that situation?
It is, how much Joey means to us too, and Henry does as well, and just trying to balance that of finding those opportunities for both, especially coming off the game that Henry had the other day, and all around too, not just offensively, defensively, the tag, the throw. Henry's doing really good, and just challenging all these guys to continue to work, to get better, like we talked about at the beginning, finding ways to get better every day and finding ways to help us win. And Henry does that too in more ways than just on the field. He's really into the game every single time. When if you look in the dugout, he's always locked in and has helped us win the games from the bench too.
Donnie, are we past the point with Paul that you're monitoring the workload? He was efficient on Sunday, but he did ramp it up and he was over 100 pitches, and it's 4 days. It's 4 days later, though. It's not like there was a day off or whatever. So it's his natural turn in the rotation. Do you guys still monitor the workload under those sort of pretenses, or is it just let him go out there and do his thing?
Yeah, it's let him go out there and let him roll, and we're always monitoring it, not going into it with a set number per se, of just watching him and how he's moving, how his stuff is coming out. And not just with Paul, with all these guys, just seeing how they're doing. Talked earlier with Brownie about Mitch the other day. It was under the weather, goes out there, competes, gives us 6 innings, 2 runs, did really well. And knowing that going into that game is okay, he came out at 90, 92, I forget what it was. If he's healthy, he may have a little bit more to give there in that game. So just taking it game by game, and not just with Paul, with all the guys, of monitoring exactly how they're feeling, where they're at, how their stuff is coming out, and how they're moving on the mound.
What's kind of led to Henry becoming, I don't want to say Paul's personal catcher, but he seemed to have catch every one of Paul's starts.
Yeah, he's been doing a good job back there. You know, he really is in tune to the game and has gotten into a good rapport with Paul, and they've done pretty well. You know, not saying it's gonna be every time, but just it's worked out pretty good so far, and you know, look forward to keeping it going tonight.
Does the pitcher have some input on that? Do you ask their opinion, or do you just like say, hey, this is the way it is?
Yeah.
Or do they say, this is what I'm comfortable with?
No, I think that we always talk to Oscar Strami, you know, and through, it's not like Paul saying, hey, you know, I want Henry back there. It's just a conversation all the time about all these guys, and like you said, trying to find good times to get Henry in there as well, you know, and keep his development, his bat in the lineup, and he's getting better too. I mean, we've seen over the last few years, he came up as a right fielder. I think the first time he came up, drafted as a catcher, and then went back down and really worked his butt off to get better at catching, and he's done that. You know, he's turned himself into a really good defensive catcher.
Is Reynolds looking like Reynolds to you again?
Yeah, I mean, just the swings have been really crisp, really clean, driving the ball again. I mean, even the at-bat the other day where he came up second and third and drove the ball to, it was center, maybe a little left center, but got the guy in, got the guy over. You know, really good to see him catching the ball out in front and catching some barrels.
Are you noticing anything just in sequencing and maybe how opposing teams are navigating lineups now that Horowitz has been in there for a little while and he kind of lengthens that lineup? Are you noticing anything as to how it may help others and they are approached by pitchers?
Yeah, really good question, and I think that Spencer, as we've seen, finding barrels, having good at bats, and definitely lengthens the lineup out. Had the big home run last night. Just, I think it's a quality of at bat that stands out to me, and the more that we can continue to have that all the way down through, and which I feel like we have. I mean, shoot, we're talking about Izzy down at the bottom, 8-9. You know, Henry's had good at bats. Even when we were in New York, and Gorski and Triolo were in the, I think it was maybe 7 and 9, and two-run home runs there. You know, just finding ways to try to get production all the way through and have good at bats all the way through.
Some managers, they value protection. Where you fall, I'm not sure that question's been asked of you yet. As you compile your lineups, is that something that's considered, and how much, I guess, do you buy into it?
Yeah, it definitely is. And when you're talking about, we're looking at different lanes that the other team could try to exploit, and honestly was one of the reasons we flipped McCutchen and Reynolds there too, is if with a left-handed pitcher, get McCutchen more left-handed at bats, and when Joey's in there, he's been behind Bryan there with Spencer behind him. It kind of gives it a little bit, talking about lengthening it out a little bit and trying to find different ways to match up. If they want to bring a lefty in and run it through Spencer, you know, getting McCutchen and Joey a left-handed pitcher as well. So just looking at all of it, of protection, lanes, different matchups that other teams could try to exploit and try to put our guys in the best position.
A lot of times, people on the outside look at a hit that they see, you know, an RBI, extra base hit, and they say that's the turning point for this team. How much did that fifth inning with a 1-2-3 fifth, where you three balls to the warning track or the wall, how much did you see that as maybe where the guys were barreling the ball and they started getting into a little bit of a groove, even if you weren't rewarded for it?
Yeah, that inning, they crushed those three balls, you know, and when you're talking about Bryan, and what a catch too, on all three of them, but the way that they're going out there, barreling them up, and have that confidence to go out there and square it up and find a way to put the barrel on it, I think is contagious too. And as it starts to build out from those guys through the middle of our lineup all the way through and have those good at bats, you know, just looking forward to that continuing. Thank you.